Hey everybody, Coach here. Hey, welcome to this week's episode. Look at the old guy getting busy. Now, this week, finally, we have the kind of weather where we can actually get out and I can start the first transplanting project of the year. Now, you have seen these arborvitae, these green giants, all winter long, and they were frozen less than 10 days ago. But now, boom, here we are. We're ready to take them out of the ground and get them moved to their new home at Brook and Pond. Now, as you watch this process go, I want to emphasize the fact that we're doing it at double or triple speed. Yes, it doesn't go really fast. For me, at age 65, this was about a 3-hour project in total, getting these 5 dug out and moved over to our hillside on the back side of the house. And what I'm hoping to gain is that these guys will get a full day of sun now. They will have an invaluable amount of soil to grow down into, and they are going to do so much better, I hope. I have prepped these with a half-strength fertilizer for the past 30 days, and they're just now starting to come out of dormancy. They still have some of their winter color. They still have some yellow edges. But they only got, good Lord, they only got 4 hours of sunlight a day where they were stupidly put next to the garage there where it originally came from. So getting into hillside planting over here, this is the more shallow, less steep part of the hill that I am on. And what I want to emphasize to you is when you're transplanting plants like this, number one, take your time and estimate the size of the root ball that you are removing the plant when you actually remove it from the ground, and gauge on the hole that you're going to have to dig that's going to receive it. The closer you get, the less you have to lift that plant in and out, getting it just right. And if you've done it enough times, generally 1 or 2 times, you'll get the feel for it. It's generally a little more than a shovel depth, and it fits really easy. So in this case, up here in northern Maine, you can see how some of the holes have to be shaped. And I love my Bosch mini jackhammer. I really do. That thing lets you dig like a Bosch, like the commercials say. And I am able to round out this hole and shape this hole so that it really does work the first time I want to put it in the ground. The other thing is we're talking about amendments as well. I want to have about 3 to 4 inches of amended soil underneath the transplanted root ball. And I want to have a 50-50 mix of amendment and tailings that you see there in the wheelbarrow to put in and be able to have that root system that's going to be shocked. There's just no doubt about it. The tree is going to be in a little bit of shock for about 2 to 3 weeks, and I expect that. The roots there, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to get in there, and on some of the roots, I'm going to take a pruning shears, and I am going to tip prune a lot of the root system. And then, hey, it's time to backfill. And because we're on a slope, we have to be careful not to overfill the hole and leave enough of a water basin in there that you can hand water it periodically over the next 30 to 45 days. And the backside of that hill is going to have quite a bit of drop, probably in this case about 6 inches. And what I did was I salvaged the rocks from digging from the hole to begin with, and I just kind of placed the rocks at the back of the hole when I'm all said and done, and that holds that hole from falling in on itself and covering up the trunk of the tree. Another good point to remember is as you're doing this, you want that root ball to be exposed. You want about an inch or so up above the soil line. And that's what I'm finding right here with gloved hands. Going in there, shaping that water basin, and making sure I don't have any soil built up around the crown of that plant. And then it's kind of a rinse and repeat. We are moving on to the next one, cleaning the hole up, making sure your work area that you're doing is as neat as possible. And because we have so much gravel out here in the front yard, I used a piece of OSB. I towel wrapped the root ball to protect it a little bit, and off we go. This way, your gravel doesn't get all messed up with dirt, and your dirt doesn't sift inside the gravel, and your whole job site stays a lot neater and so much easier to clean up. It makes the job go much faster, and when you're all said and done, and you're tired of digging, and you've lifted and toted and done the job, you know, you don't have to turn around and go, oh my God, look at the mess I made, and now I have to try to clean that up. So as I continued these arborvitae transplants, the hillside got a little steeper. We got down to 25, 30 degrees towards the end. And so a lot of people ask me, you know, how do you plant on a hillside? So water and other things. Well, check out in the video playlist, there's hillside plantings and how you really go about it. And I did half again as wide as the root ball that I extracted and about 3 to 4 inches deep. And then I straightened it up as I put it in, as I backfilled. And then I reached back in and made sure that everything was just how it's supposed to be and allows for settling over the course of this season. It's going to want to settle just a little bit, and I want it to settle to grade, not below grade, where things start to cave in on it. And then water it in. You don't want a transplanted root ball sitting around very long to have the air roots and the hair roots start to dry out. You don't want that. And your spacing, maintain your spacing. Here, I have about 9.5 feet spacing between each one. And I don't intend for these green giants to be full grown. I am going to keep them a little bit on the nip and tuck side every other year. And then moving on, I want to have with these root balls about a 30-inch wide hole and about, I would say 14 inches deep was as deep as I needed to go. This particular one gave me a little bit of problem. And the reason is the root system of this particular plant was not developing like the other four. It just weren't. So that root ball that you see there is, it's, despite being watered and everything else, it almost wanted to fall apart. And there's a risk. It's not a 100% guarantee when you transplant plants that you're going to get them to take and thrive and jump off into a new spot without some problems. And I'm really hoping that this particular one doesn't give me any problems. But I didn't have to dig the hole quite as deep, but I did dig it as wide, and I really amended it very well. And I'm just going to have to keep an eye on it. It's just one of those things. When it came up out of the extracted hole, the dirt that around it was just not the same as the other ones. This particular soil that I have here up in northern Maine is called Thorndike clay loam or rocky clay loam. And for some of it, it's not too bad. I've seen a lot worse, but you know, to dig this with a shovel, like the round shovel that you see me using there, it would have been a man killer. It really would have, because you hit rocks with just every shovel push, and it would have been very, very frustrating. So the mini Bosch took quick work of that, and then I'm able to scoop it out with the Structron shovel that you see there, which is also available on the Amazon store. And I strongly suggest you look into those if you guys have a project yourself, because you can use them for planting, you can use it for transplanting, you can use it for trenching, all kinds of things. And ladies, listen up. It's nice to be able to pull out a big shovel full of soil that may be heavy and wet with the small, narrower shovel rather than the full-size shovel. Sometimes that can be a little overwhelming weight-wise. So, you know, just an idea. And then my last one here. You can see how much sun this plant didn't get. Look how bare it was on the back side of it. In the wintertime, this thing would get, I bet you it didn't get an hour of sun on a sunny winter day. And even on the summer day, or a late spring day like we're at now, I would say maybe 3 hours. And for green giant arbs, I mean, they want sun all day long. So a classic example of wrong plant in the wrong place for the wrong reason. And you can see me looking at things right here. This is the steepest part of the hill, and it's probably about 25, maybe 28 degree slope. And so I'm having to stand there and work on this slope. It's not a big, long, you're not going to fall down it. But working on and digging it, it was a little bit of a challenge here and there. If you do happen to invest in some form of little mini jackhammer, consider a little bit of eye protection. I'm not doing it there, and I probably should have. But definitely ear protection, because it can be a little bit loud. It really can. And protect your senses, protect your hearing. So this is the last one that we got in the ground. Now, one of the things that I want to emphasize here is, what about the holes that I left over on the side of the garage? Well, what I did was, because the root ball takes up a lot of room of the new hole, I had lots of tailings left over, and I would take that wheelbarrow after I'd backfilled and planted and watered. Then I ran the tailings back over to the holes that were empty on the other side of the garage, and I would basically fill them back in. And now they're ready for the new plants that'll go in this spring and summer. Without having an empty, rocky hole in my front yard, it's a little tip that you might want to think about. It really works well, and when you do dig those new holes, it's nice, amended soil, ready to go, right out of the gate. You don't have any heavy digging. So line it up. You could tell Coach was getting a little tired at the end here. I couldn't even, this one just was not deep enough. The ground was harder than all the others, and I'm trying to dig it. Nah, just go back and get the jackhammer and dig out that extra few inches and do it right. So you can see to the right of the video here how deep I am on the uphill slope. And this is where you want to assure that that hill is not going to erode down into your water basin. And what I did was I extracted those rocks and I backfilled the backside of each water basin with those rocks, and it'll slow the process down quite a bit. And you don't have to worry about crown rot and things getting suffocated down there. So with this particular skinny mini, I made sure that the empty side was away from the viewing area, and it'll fill back in eventually. I mean, these guys are 2.5 years old when we took over the property. They should be quite a bit bigger by now. They were 5 gallons when they were put in, and they've only grown probably, I don't know, I sheared them down a little bit last fall, but they need to get full sunshine, some bigger area to fill in and grow, a lot more air circulation, no reflection off the metal wall of the garage, and I think they're gonna do really well. And I'll do an update after 60 or 90 days, see how they're doing, and let you guys know. So when you're talking about a finished product, when you get it all done and you have kept your job site as neat as possible, you can see that I don't have crap scattered all over the place. I've got the bagged goods, the empty bags in one spot. I got the Bosch box in one spot. The extension cords can get wrapped up, and you don't have a lot of cleanup after you're already done. So what do you guys think? When you take on something like this, what do you think the biggest challenge is? Well, here's the one that I had right away, and that was the tailings leftover. I didn't leave enough on the downhill side, and I just had basically a toddler blowout right out of the side of the diaper there, and I had to let it sink in just a little bit and then come back and reinforce that dam and get it just a few inches higher so it would hold a good 2.5 gallons when you went and watered it. So, hey, we all make mistakes, and there was mine for the day. It was one of those oops right at the end, of course, when you've done as much work as you really want to do that day. It happens. It happens. So if you think about what it takes to do this, this was about 3 hours, start to finish. We had to go get some of the planting mix, which, by the way, oh, good God, I can't believe there was a store not too far from us that sells the bagged goods. And what I really wanted was a 2 cubic foot bag. Get a couple of them, and that would have done this job. They wanted $35 for a bag of soil conditioner, and I couldn't do it. I had to go a little bit cheaper. Anyway, there's the finished product. First green in the back part. Now the hillside itself is going to get cleaned off, and there'll be other shrubbery and ground covers on this hillside, but it certainly dresses it up already much more than just the empty barrens. And we are just now starting to get spring emergence. So I appreciate your attention. I appreciate you tuning in. Try hitting the like button for me and subscribe if you got some value. I'll catch you guys next week. And don't forget the website, youryardcoach.com, if you're looking for a little bit of education. Thanks. Bye for now.